Good evening, tubers of the RC Universe. Welcome to RC Helicheck UK, and from the title that you've obviously read and the little intro that you've just seen, yes, today we are going to be building an Airwolf helicopter. This is a model that I've been toying with doing. Sometimes I think to myself, is it worth it, because it's quite common, but the opportunity arose for me to acquire one thanks to my best friend who had bought it for Christmas for me as an early Christmas present. So I've got her to thank for it. But anywho, we are going to be looking inside the box, and we are also going to be building this model and putting it together. It is a kit version of the model and basically needs to be built and painted as it is in its basic kit form without any paint on it at all. So this is going to be a good one, guys. It may be a two-parter. We'll have to see how it goes. So let's crack on. Here it is, boys and girls. This is the box, and this is the Airwolf, as you can see on the box. Airwolf kit. It is a 30 size helicopter, so it's about the same size as my long range helicopter, to be fair. It is going to be having 550 mechanics in it. So the process that we're going to have to go through is, once we've got everything out and had a look at it, we need to make sure that we can figure out some way of fitting the mechanics into it, that kind of thing, and then like I say, we can start assembling it. So let's open the box and see what's inside, shall we? Just a quickie, guys, this is an upcoming video that I'm in the process of doing at the moment. This will be following the Airwolf video, because obviously now it has occurred, the Airwolf is taking priority. So, but yeah, that'll be the next video after the Airwolf, guys, and it's quite a good one, that one. Right, so this is what we get inside the box. Toilet paper, paper covering everything up, fuselage, main fuselage is in there, taking up most of the box. We've got the destructions on the right hand side, and then on the left hand side we've got more bags with more bits and pieces. So I'll get you put on the table and I'll take everything out, and then we'll have a look at what's in the bags and open the bags up as well. Right, here we go. Everything is laid out. Was that my phone? I think it was. Got everything laid out. We'll have a look at the fuselage in a minute, being the main part. But as you can see, everything is all bagged up rather nice and tidily. Got even the destructions are in a bag. We've got another bag there with what looks like windows and stuff in. But we'll have a look at everything. Doghouse as well. This is a Funkey model, by the way, if any of you wanted to know. This is actually the Funkey Airwolf for the 30 size. But yeah, that on. No, there we go. Fit that on there. That's a nice fit. So let's get all the bags out and let's have a look, see what's inside. Put them all to one side. A second, we'll start off with the concerns. See what we've got. Oh, it's bloody cold up here again today, guys. You're probably thinking, why didn't you use the Airwolf theme tune music with your intro? Because the old YouTube police would have had me if I'd have done that, so I had to improvise. Yes, the video is from the beginning of the programme, but yeah, I had to use different music because, like I say, YouTube police would have had me. Right, quite nice instructions there, very illustrative, with nice wording, easy to follow. Airwolf installation manual. There's a lot of bits and pieces to do on this, guys. It's not a straightforward build. Looks like you've got to put the mechanics in with the tail boom out, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, because basically we've got to chop the back end of the tail off by the looks of it to get it to go in. Yeah, definitely. So it looks like there's going to be a little bit of drum work to do as well. That's good. There must be some mesh in the bag somewhere for the bits and pieces. Below, optional retractable landing gear is available. Bugger. Looks like we're going to have fixed undercarriage for now, guys. Right, so that's good. Let's open this bag. Looking at this, this is oh, there's the mesh there, look. That's the mesh in that one. See it? Mesh. But this looks like the bag of windows. Ding 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 ding. Did I say it was cold? Yeah, that's the mesh. Is that? It's plastic. It's like plastic mesh. It's not like aluminium. I'd prefer it to have been aluminium, but I suppose it would do. I could always get some of that car mesh that you use to repair panel work on cars. I think I've got some of that at home actually. In fact, I'm sure I have. I might use that instead because it's about the same size mesh. It'll be more rigid than using this stuff because it's limp like my. So that's the mesh. We've got, what the hell? What the hell's that for? I wonder if that's the main window. Why is there two? That can't be the main window, surely there's two of them. Okay, I'll have to cross that bridge when we come to it, but they're two smoked, whatever they are. They're smoked plastic covered in film. Right, left. We'll figure that out. Unless I've actually got to cut the, I bet I've got to cut the sides out. I bet I've got to cut them out to fit. Okay, no problem. And then we'll leave that bag to last. Here's some more windows. Another window. What the hell? There's only 3 windows, the main one and this little one. What's that for then? I wonder if that's for the top bit. Unless there's 2 in there and I can't. Because you'd have thought there'd have been windows in it. Maybe the side windows are left out. Who knows? But that's a small window for whatever. We'll have to have a look at instructions, I think. Fins made out of balsa. Look like 3/8 balsa, made out of balsa wood. They're not fiberglass. Wood they're made from. Let's leave them in the bags, no point in taking them out. And then we've got loads of other bits and pieces. There's bits missing from this, guys. Where's the rocket tube boosters that go in the back of the rockets? The back of the jet engines. Got none of those. I wonder if there's a bag missing. Let's have a look. Let's see what we've got. Right, that's the bit that goes on the nose. Yeah, nice fit. That's got to be the tail, the end of the tail rotor boom. That bit there, that's the bit that goes on the nose. There, the square, little square bit that goes on the nose. And we've got 2 other blisters of some sort. I'll figure out where these go, obviously when I get into the instructions, but they've got to be something that go on the side of the fuselage. Gone. And then we have the exhaust stimulus, 2 exhausts as well, again made of fiberglass. Oops, they go on the sides there, definitely. And then I'm not going to take these out of the bag, so I'm going to cut this bag here and leave these inside because they're too small. But that looks like the guns. See the guns there, look, that must be the guns, definitely. So, and then we have the tail vertical stabilizer. Bizarre how they make this out of fiberglass, yet they make the horizontal stabilizers out of balsa wood. Weird that, but hey ho. So that's that bit. And then we've got another bag, which is just stapled together, so there must be a bag in a bag in a bag in a bag in a bag. What's this here? Some sort of control rod. That's bizarre. I don't know what that's going to be used for. A control rod, unless it's for the undercarriage if you have retracts, maybe, possibly. Who knows? It's got wheels. The wheels on the bus go wrapped. Sorry. It's got wheels, little 1.5" diameter wheels in it. And then we've got another bag that's got bits of wood mounting blocks. Looks like we've got the tail boom support as well. And I hope that's 2 in there. Yeah, 2 side fins for the side of the horizontal stabilizers. And then we've got an empty bag, and then we've got a bag full of screws, couple of threaded rods as well, got some self-tapping screws, washers, bag of threaded, couple of threaded rods in there as well, and another bag which looks like bell cranks for the undercarriage as well, because you've got control clevises on there. Can you see them? You've got the little control things that go on your servo arms as well, so they must be for the undercarriage. I might have a small set of undercarriage at home that might fit in this. Be nice if it does. And then we have the doghouse. Like I say, nice fiberglass, quite rigid, a little bit flimsy around there. That's why I'd like to use the mesh, the aluminium mesh that I've got instead of this plastic stuff, because it'll stiffen this up a little bit. And I'll probably use epoxy to put that on as well, and reinforce it with carbon toe just to stiffen it up a bit, make it nice and stiff, she said. And then we have the fuselage. Let's move this out. Bear with, guys. Just pull that across here so we can see that a bit better. And there we have the fuselage. Can you see all that? That's about 3.5 feet, nearly 4 foot long. Something like that. But really stiff, she said. Nice and rigid. A lot of framework already been glued in there, which I'm gathering is probably for the undercarriage, because you've got some at the front as well, but that's already been epoxied in place. So yeah, not bad, not bad at all. You can feel the seam a little bit. There's a little bit of a seam on there, so I might need to sand it down, just get rid of that seam before we paint it, because I don't want to see the seam. Don't want to see the seam. So I'll have to give that a sanding down to get rid of that. So any downside about epoxy fuselages that are stuck together, they never finish them off with, I mean the boom's okay, that feels quite smooth, just a little bit of a sanding that's going to need. But the front bit here, that's quite pronounced. Can you hear it, look? So I need to get that sanded down as well. Front nose section again, not as bad. I have to be careful with this bit. It's been reinforced with more fiberglass on the back, so that's quite stiff. But yeah, all in all, not bad. I'm toying whether to, I think I might spray the inside of the fuselage black before I actually go ahead and build it. Dust. You know what I'm like with dust. Don't like dust. So yeah, I might spray the inside of the fuselage black, to be honest with you, and then it'll be done in the Airwolf colours. I'm not doing this in civilian. This is going to be Airwolf. This is actually going to be Airwolf. But I've got a feeling these windows have got no recesses for plastic, so I think these are left open, which is a bit of a bummer, but it'll all help with cooling with the mechanics, with the main window going in. I believe the top windows will be done as well. If not, I'm going to mould those myself, because I want the top windows in. Same with the bottom. I'm going to make bottom windows as well for this bottom bit here. I can't see any more plastic, and surely to God it ain't all inside these. Let's have a look, see if there's any embossed features on these plastic windows. See if there's more than one window in here, because I'm wondering whether or not you've got, that's in a bag, that one's not in a bag. That's because I cut it out and took it out the bag, you twat. Let's have a look at this one. I can see a slight, and it really is slight. Now this is just the main windows by the looks of it. I can see a slight embossed shape in the window here, so this is like the main window by the looks of it. Whether or not I'll be able to utilise the other bits around it to make up the other windows, the other curved windows, or what, I don't know. It would be nice to keep them all smoked as they are, but that's nice and smoked, that is. I like that, it's done really well. Oh, I've got the snivels. Keep them covered up because I don't want to scratch them. So yeah, I mean, all in all, that ain't bad. That's a pretty comprehensive kit. It's going to take a while to build this. I think what I might do is actually, oh, I know what they're for. I found out what these are for. Wrong. Right, that's for those. So you can have them closed with the guns not in place or open with. Obviously I'm going to have them open with because I'm going to put the guns in it. But they're a good fit, they are. They're actually a real perfect fit. So yeah, that's what those are. They're the size of the gun, or the cannon pods. Cannon pods. But right. Right. I'm starting off by doing the guns because I want to get these put together and painted before I actually mount them on the model, because it'll be easier to paint them off than what it will on. But these were all stuck together with one sheet of fiberglass each gun, and I've cut most of it away, and then just to get the rest of it off, you can literally gouge it out with a scalpel, and then once it's off, instead of sanding it down, I find to get a nice edge, just get the edge of the blade and then scrape it. And you can find basically by doing that you get like a rather smooth finish, and it just gets rid of the seam completely. So I'm going to do that with the rest of the guns, and I'll come back to you guys when it's all done. Right guys, there's one gun, finito, that's built with the two cannons and the big cannon up top, and that is now set as it should be. There are 3 holes in the side of here that you can see, which these will go into, but that won't be until after they've been painted. I've had to use my Dremel to make the holes slightly bigger because they were a tight fit. They're still a tight fit, but they'll go in nice and easy, and once they've got epoxy on them, they should slide in just nice. So that's that one done, guys. I'm going to do the other one for the other side, and then we'll carry on.
I wait for someone to save. I want to tell you something new. You drove us both into a wall. I drive away into the night, and I contemplate for a while.
Right fellas and fellettes, we have got both the guns made. Now they're a little bit awkward, but I wanted to make them so that these parts weren't actually glued in. I wanted them to be glued into the actual cowlings on the sides, because then when I'm ready to put them in, I can literally just add some epoxy and stick them on. But one thing you got to note, if you ever build one of these tubes here are all the same length, with these ends here that go into the actual fuselage, but the back one, which goes into here, if you look, you can just see through the framework there. You've got the plywood mounting plates for the undercarriage, and it's literally, the edge of it is right on the hole, and you can't push the tube all the way through, so you literally have to cut the end of this tube here down by, you need to take about, I'd say probably around about 3/32, probably about 2.5 mil off, to be able to get it to still go in and not foul against the actual plywood plate at the back. But the other two, you can leave them as they are. So that's that done. I'm not following the instructions to order, because the doghouse is telling you to put the mesh, plastic mesh in. You've got a template at the back of the manual. If I can just grab it quickly. If I can just, if it's there, that template gives you all the different sizes that you need. But like I say, I'm not going to use the plastic stuff. I've got some aluminium mesh somewhere, I can't find it at the moment, but I'm going to use that instead, and then I'm going to reinforce in between these areas underneath once it's fitted with carbon toe, just to stiffen up the doghouse a bit, so it's not so flimsy, because even with the aluminium I think it'll be a little bit flimsy, so the carbon toe will stiffen it up. Right, I've not glued them in, they're just pushed in for now. One thing that I've got a dilemma with, dilemma, is because this was designed for IC, this doghouse, yeah, is basically, you put your mechanics in, get it all set up, and then the doghouse sits on there and it doesn't come back off. However, because this is going to be electric, a little bit like the Bell 230, I need to figure out some way of making something removable from the doghouse, so I can get to where the battery goes to put the battery in. Now the battery on the 550X that I'm using is mounted that way, so if I can get the front of this taken off, and I might, what I might do is cut it, say like here on both sides, and then reinforce it with plywood, right, and that way then I'll have plywood on this back bit, plywood on this front bit, and then I can have it sort of like a lip that goes underneath the front here, like a tag, and then two magnets that'll hold it on like the top and the bottom on both sides. So this bit will actually be held on with a tag and two magnets. That's the only way I can think of doing it. That way then I'll be able to take it off, leave this bit on. This bit will be secured on with screws like it should be, but this bit here, like I say, it'll be removable with reinforcing around here, so I can remove it just to get the battery down. So I think that's something I'm going to have to do at some point, but I need to get the mechanics in first, and I've got to get the tail boom that I've got removed in the mechanics, and I've got to make a new tail boom using a 550X torque tube. So I think we might have to do that next, guys. Right guys, that is roughly where the mechanics are going to be sitting. Now we've got about, if you can see in there, we're about an inch away from the front bulkhead where the retracts sit, and then the back bulkhead, you can see there the actual mounting points are about 3/4 of an inch away from that frame. So I need to put a plywood plate in there, because this is like recessed where these back brackets are sitting. You can just see at the back of the bracket there is like a recess bit on both sides, so I need to pack that up with 1/8 plywood and epoxy that in place with another sheet of 1/8 ply over the top of that, and a 1/8 ply section on the bottom of here for this mount to sit on both sides. And then if you look, I don't know if you can see that down there, but if you look down the boom, if I can get it centered, probably not, where's the lens, if you look down the boom, where the boom sits, it's right slap bang in the middle of the tail cone, so it's going to come straight down. I've got to take it off. I'm not taking it off this, but I've got another T-Rex 600 torque tube, sorry, boom, booger. And I've got to take 4 inches off the boom. The boom sits there, and I've got to take 4 inches off here, off the end. And then I've got the 550 torque tube which fits inside. That way then it'll bring the tail rotor back and still locate to the torque drive, and it will situate it literally just there from where the exit is going to be. So I'll need to cut this section away, and on the tail cone as well, there's a bit on the tail cone that to about here. So all this is going to need to be cut away to allow the tail rotor gearbox to come out. But blade, sorry, T-Rex 550 E mechanics fit it fine. Bit of a modification, like I say. I could just get a 550 boom, but I thought I don't need to. I can just cut down I've got 2 or 3 of these T-Rex 600 booms. Just cut them down to shape, cut the slot for it to mount into the gearbox. Yeah, it's going to work, guys. It's going to fit. So happy days. The doghouse, although I can't actually put it on, lining up the doghouse roughly to where the end is. You can just see there, that's where it's going to sit in relation to the swash plate. Let's line that up. So there's the swash plate. I will need to cut a groove in the back here to allow the anti-rotation bracket to fit. So I will need to cut through there. I may, depending on how high the swash plate comes up, if it doesn't come all the way up, I may have to trim these here on the sides here to allow the swash plate, because these are quite wide arms on the swash plate on this. But yeah, so far it's looking pretty dandy, but there is a hell of a lot of work to do. So I'm going to I'm going to knock it on the head for today, guys. Right, it's the next day, guys. I'm currently sat on the other side of the workshop. Not going to stop me doing what I want to do, so I'm going to have to make some modifications, not drastic ones, to the mechanics basically. And what I'm going to do, I'll show you why in a sec, is I'm going to get the doghouse, and I'm going to cut the doghouse about here, okay, just about there, and I'm going to go all the way down both sides so that this bit comes away, okay. Now with that situated on top of there like so, that means that I have literally got from kind of like here to work with to get the battery in. Now even though I can get the battery in like that, it's still going to be an arse to get it to plug it in, okay. So here's the plan. Do the modification on the doghouse. I've got some plywood that I'm going to line either side of the cut, and then I'll put 2 pins in which will hold it in place, and then this bit I'll mount some 1/8 plywood underneath here, and then I'll literally just have a screw which will go in through there. I'll reinforce this bit as well with some more fiberglass, but then that'll screw to that bit there, so that'll allow me to undo the screw, pull that bit of the doghouse up. But because of that, what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to relocate this mounting plate here, and I've got a screw hole down there that you can see, or a hole there I should say. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to undo these nuts here, these bolts here I should say, on both sides, and then with this bolt that's here, that's just behind the wire in there, I'll be able to pivot that down so that it's down, instead of it being at that angle, it'll be more like that angle, and then I'll re-drill a hole through here for the screw to mount into, so this will be down at kind of like that angle instead. That way then it'll allow me to put the battery in with the cable facing upwards, so the cable's coming that way basically, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make something to mount the ESC EC5 plug further up here somewhere, and it'll be permanently fixed to here. So all I need to do then is just literally grab the battery lead and just push it in, and that's it, job done. And I'll be able to get the battery in and out a lot easier as well, with it being straight down vertically near enough. So I need to modify this as well. I might do that later on, because I've still got to make the plywood brackets down here. I'm going to make them a floating mount. What that means is I'm going to have foam underneath the plywood mounting bracket. I would use carbon, but I've not got no carbon with me to use, but temporarily I'm going to make a template out of plywood. I've got plenty of foam to make the floating mount basically, and then I'll use plywood. So once it's all sorted out and in place and whatnot, then I can cut the two new mounts out of carbon fibre and excuse me, cut the two new mounts out of carbon fibre, because everything will be marked out where it's got to go. It'll be just a case of taking the plywood off and replacing the plywood with the carbon fibre. And then underneath the carbon fibre I'll have locking nuts, thread locked nuts, and then the bolts will go in through the top and down and directly into the bolts. And then at the top, with the mechanics in here quickly, then with the mechanics in, I'm going to get this screw removed here on both sides, this bolt here, and then I'm going to make an aluminium bracket which will then go from there down and mounted onto a plywood block that I'm going to have epoxied into here, and that'll go to the top of the block, and that'll be screwed in place, and that'll basically stop the mechanics from moving about inside the helicopter. And then the foam at the bottom will hopefully help dampen some of the vibration. So I'm going to get the brackets made, get the doghouse cut, make the brackets for the doghouse and replace it where the cut is with plywood, get all that sorted out, and then I'll come back. Actually no, you know what, I'm going to do a time lapse while I'm doing it. Right, I've put the doghouse back on and I've hit it with some micropore tape, because obviously there's an element of flex in the doghouse, and I wanted to make sure that it was up against the mounting faces inside, because the last thing I want to do is cut this and it's flexed out away from the way it should be. So I've mashed it off on both sides to hold it down, and I've marked where I'm going to cut it along there. So I'm now going to take the old Dremel out and cut it as carefully as possible. So wish me luck. Right, there we go guys, as you can see, we moved, delete, well we're not delete because we need it back, but we are now access available for the battery. So what I'm going to do now, while the doghouse is still taped in place, I am literally going to get some thin plywood. Here's one I made earlier, cut it roughly to shape, then I'm going to overlap it over the front of the doghouse and then draw around it, which will give me a template then to create the new plywood lip, which will be made out of just 1/16 ply. It will then be epoxied into place while it's still in here, so it holds its shape. It'll be bigger than what it is needing to be. But it'll allow me to basically get the basic shape that I want on here, and then I'll epoxy that into place, put a load of epoxy behind it to hold it and make sure it stays in its shape as it is. And then once that's done, I can then reverse it and do the same on this side, and again make a template inside there. I mean, to be honest with you, I could probably use the same template from here because it's going to be the same shape, you know what I mean? So I'll probably just use the same template, to be honest with you. Okay guys, I've done more work on the mechanics to make sure that we have a fitting in the fuselage. Now, like I said to you before, I'm using a 600 boom with a 550X torque tube inside. Now, you could, now I know that this is like this, you could get away with just buying a 550X torque tube. They're the same diameter as the 600 tubes, but like I said, saving money, I've got 2 or 3 of these 600 tubes, so I've just basically cut one down. I've taken 70mm off the end of the tube, and then basically with my supersonic eyes of deception, lining the ruler up with the mounting point underneath the helicopter, because it is transparent, so I can see that they're in line with the mechanics lined up in the positions where I marked yesterday. I have got basically the tail rotor. Now it's difficult to see with the angle being the way that it is, but the tail rotor is dead center on this point of the helicopter here, so I know that the shaft is going to be right in the middle of this bit. So I can now cut this away and the bottom away to allow for the ball link as well, because you need to cut a bit of a slot for the ball link to come out of to make it easier for that to travel. And then the swash plate, again, it's difficult to see, but line, where's the lens? There's the lens. You can see there that the middle of the swash plate is right in the center of the doghouse as well, and I've put the throws on the servos to the maximum that they would be for this helicopter, and iron it up. I've got around about 3/4 of an inch, about 15 to 18mm of clearance from the top of the ball link to the top of the doghouse here, so I may get away with not having to cut away the top of the doghouse to allow the swash plate movement. I have got to cut out, you can see there, the anti-rotation bracket. I've got to cut a slot there for fitting that. So as it stands, if anybody gets one of these Funkey 30 size Airwolves or the Bal 222, which is basically what an Airwolf is, T-Rex 550 mechanics fit straight into it. So if in future you want to get yourself one of these and you're not sure what mechanics to put in it, T-Rex, Align T-Rex 550 mechanics, 550E, fits in this perfectly. So for future reference for yourselves guys, if you want to know, that's what you want to go for. So now I've got this all sorted, and the tube, the torque tube, the right size. I know now roughly where I need to cut the end of the boom. So I'm going to get the Dremel and I'm going to cut out the shape that I need for the tail rotor to go through, so that I can get the tail rotor in. The chances are I'll need, if you see these lugs on the top and on the bottom there, they're going to be needed to be rounded off slightly, just so that they slide into the tail boom. So I'm going to have to probably grind those down. I'm not going to do it yet, we'll see how the fit is. But then I'm going to make a donut, not one that you eat, using this foam here, which is the same foam that I'm going to be using to make the soft mounts for the mechanics to sit on. I should make a donut out of this, stick it on end up boom, and then I'll use basically a what do they call it, control link mount that goes on the boom, and I'll tighten that up, and that will hold that in place. So when I push the tube through, it'll hold that in place and it will stop it from sliding backwards and forwards on the boom. There we go guys, well happy. They fit perfect. First time. And usually when it comes to fitting mechanics into a scale fuselage, it can be the hardest part of the actual build when it comes to building scale models. But I wanted a set of mechanics in this helicopter that was still readily available with spares, so I've chose the T-Rex 550 X, and it has got a 550E boom with 550E torque tube, and it fits perfectly. Look at that, absolutely spot on. I am wow happy. Now that is the hardest part of this build done. So all I've got left to do now is to make the mounts, the floating mounts to mount the mechanics onto. The one thing that I have got to do is there's a bit here underneath, that bit there that you can see sticking out. I've got to cut that off because I won't be able to get the tail rotor in with the control arm, so I've got to cut that off straight along, and then basically the back end of this here, that there, will have the rest of it where it'll be rounded off nicely to fit on the back to cover up. So I mean, that goes on as it is, like that, straight away. So that's awesome. I mean, once I've cut the, let's try and get it around this side without moving the helicopter. Once I cut this bit off here, like I say, tail rotor shaft is dead centre. Couldn't have been happier with that, guys. So I'll get that cut out in a bit and round it off, and then I'll fit the plywood plates that need to go in here to attach this, because this is screwed on, held on by 2 screws. But well happy, guys. Now that that's in, I can basically crack on with it now. Like I say, make the mounts, get the mounts mounted, and then I need to make 2 plywood blocks and epoxy them on the sides here, and I'm going to secure the screw there that's holding the anti-rotation bracket on at the front. I'm going to use that as a mounting point for one of the aluminium plates that will come across from here and sit on the side of the mechanics, and that'll stop the mechanics from moving about inside. So yeah, we are getting there, guys, and it is coming on really well. Like I say, the hardest part is getting the mechanics to fit your fuselage, and I did it first time. Well happy. Right guys, now I'm going to get the fuselage being as it is now. We know the mechanics fit, so that's a massive improvement. So I'm going to do this tail at the back. Like I say, this section here that I've got, I need to cut that off because it's stopping the control arm going through. I might just need to cut that a little tight because it's just catching on that end bit there. So I might just cut that along there, take about another ½ inch off here, and then I can fit the cone on the back. As you can see, it's already, I mean, to be honest with you, look at that, it's probably going to be okay as it is. I don't really want to do much more damage to it, but I reckon if I cut that off there and then bring this down a little bit more, that'll be good with that bit. And then I'm going to look at fitting the doghouse, and this bit here is going to be held on with screws, and there's little tiny, there's little, where are you? There they are. There's little tiny 10mm blocks that you can see there of plywood, 1/8 ply. I'm going to dot them along here in various places and then screw into the doghouse so that I can screw this bit on after the mechanics have been fitted, and then that'll be that sorted. And then I'm going to look at the fins at the back as well, because I'm going to need to basically, I think what I'm going to do with these, I'm going to cover them with tissue paper and sand them smooth and whatnot, so that we got, they'll be coated, because these are just bare wood at the moment. On the 600 size, the bigger version, these are actually made of fiberglass, and you've got 2 pieces of plywood that are shaped like a 2-pronged fork that slide inside, and then you've got a piece of plywood that goes in the back of the boom here, and you've got like 2 strips of plywood that come out about 2 inches that they slot into. But for this one, like I say, you've got two shaped already. They've already got their aerofoil on, but you've got two shaped pieces for your actual horizontal stabilizer. So I'm going to basically get all them all sorted out, and then I don't know why, but it's always the same with helicopters. Always the airfoils are always upside down on a helicopter. But anyway. Don't know whether these oh dear, this is getting more and more fun as the day goes on. These here that were in one packet, I thought, oh okay, plastic cardboard. These are made of cardboard. Can you believe that? I mean, come on guys, cheap or what? However, they did make good templates, so I've made some new ones out of plywood, and they're a lot better, 16th ply. So, but yeah, just makes me wonder, you know. Deleted. Well gang, I think I'm going to call it quits for this episode. Done a fair bit on this over the last couple of days. We've done a massive leap forward with getting the mechanics sorted and having them all in place, so we know that the mechanics all fit now. We've got the guns made on both sides, which look pretty damn cool, just like that as they are without being painted. We've got the tail fins all completed. They've just been tacked on for now, and these parts have been screwed on, but they're all going to come undone before I like prep them for paint and whatnot. We've got the doghouse cut and fitted on the back. Still going to sort out the front bit here, which is where we're going to get access to the batteries, his boss. So that's still going to be sorted. But yeah, we made some massive leaps with this today, guys. So hopefully I'll be able to do another video in the next week or so on this model. But like I said earlier on, I am back to work on Tuesday, and tomorrow I just want to stay at home and chill, to be fair. So, but yeah, it's looking good, guys. I never thought I'd actually say this. Well, I never thought I'd ever get one of these. Okay, as scale models go, there's so many Airwolves out there, you know, barking around, and I thought to myself, nah, I don't want an Airwolf, too common. But when the opportunity arose to get this and have it donated and have it given to me as a Christmas present, I thought, you know what the hell, and it's grown on me already. I cannot wait to get that black and white paint on this model, I really can't. But yeah, she's looking cool, guys. Next video we'll probably be doing finishing the mechanic setup and whatnot. I've purposely not painted it yet because it's a lot easier to line things up when you can see like through the fiberglass. So it's a case of trying to get everything all sorted. It's like these, even like I said, these have just been tacked on. These fins have only been screwed on lightly. All this will all come apart again for when I come to paint it. Same with these are just pushed in as well, they're not actually glued in yet as well. But yeah, so I think in the next video we'll be looking at finishing the mounting for the mechanics. Needs to come up at the front a little bit, get that all sorted out, and then we are pretty damn close to getting this model painted then after that. But there's still a hell of a lot of work to go, guys, a hell of a lot of work. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you're looking forward to the future videos on this. Click the notification bell, ding-a-ling, ting-tong, whatever, so you'll be notified when the next video comes up. Click the old subscribe button if you're not already subscribing, and like the video. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate your support, and I'll see you on the next video.